You can use the measure tools to measure the distance between two elements or references, or measure the length of an element. The dimensions displayed by these tools are temporary. They disappear as soon as you use any other tool in Revit. For example, I'll switch to the Modify ribbon. In the Measure panel, I can see a Measure tool and a Dimension tool. The Dimension tool will actually place dimension elements in the model, whereas the Measure tool will simply measure the distance without adding any elements to the model. Realize that the Measure tool is actually a split button. There are two tools, Measure between two references and Measure along an element. I'll click to start the Measure between two references tool. Revit prompts me to click to enter the start point of a line. If I simply click, I can then move the cursor and click again, and Revit will display the distance between those 2 points. That's interesting, but this tool becomes more useful if you select elements instead of just clicking to pick points. I'll zoom in a bit tighter and then move the cursor over a wall. Be aware that Revit will find the faces of the wall or the center line of the wall. I'll click to select the interior face of the wall. Then I'll move the cursor to the right and select the interior face of the other wall. Revit immediately shows me the interior dimension of the room. I can also see this in the options bar in the total length field. In the options bar, there's also a chain checkbox. If you select this checkbox, you can use the Measure Between Two References tool to measure the individual distances between references as well as the total distance between the first and last reference. For example, I'll select the chain checkbox and then click to select the interior face of the wall on the left, then the left edge of the transformer, the right edge of the transformer, and then the interior face of the wall on the right. Now, I can see each individual distance measurement in the drawing area, and in the options bar, I can see the total length. Note that when you use the Measure Between Two References tool, you need to watch where you click. In the previous example, I selected points in a straight, horizontal alignment. If I repeat the same thing again, but this time pick points at random on the same elements, notice that the distances are measured between the points I selected. You can also quickly measure the length of a single object by using the Measure Along an Element tool. I'll expand the Split button and click the Measure Along an Element tool. Revit prompts me to select an edge or a line. I can then click on any linear element in the drawing area. For example, I'll select the vertical pipe. When I do, Revit immediately displays the length of that pipe. I'll start the Pipe tool, sketch a pipe at an angle, and then end the command. I'll switch back to the Modify ribbon and start the Measure Along an Element tool again. Notice that Revit will measure the length of the angled pipe and shows me the angle at which the angled pipe was drawn. But these are just for information purposes. I can't click on these dimensions to change the pipe. I'll click Modify to end the command. As soon as I do, the measurement that had been showing the length of the angled pipe disappears.